Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Kipo in the Age of Wonderbeasts, Season 2, Episode 8. So, last time, we kind of just had an episode focusing on getting Kipo to manage and control her jaguar form. While she found out about her mother, she found out about a lot of stuff. And we even got to meet Troy's father. So there was a lot of fun stuff that happened last time, but it ended with Kipo getting caught by Scarlemagne after kind of walking into a trap just to be able to see her mother. And yeah, that's kind of just where it leaves off. So I assume either Kipo's friends are gonna break her out, or she's gonna break herself out, or maybe there's gonna be both. We'll have to see. I'm definitely interested to see where this goes. I've really been enjoying it since this season really took off. It took a bit to get there, but since it really took off, it's been great. And I'm definitely interested to see where it goes. So, we have this episode, and then we have 9 and 10 after this. So, yeah. But we're just going to get into this, hope for the best, and see what this episode has in store. So, for now, let's do so. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Excuse me. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back. We begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I would go as far to say that this is one of my favorite episodes of the show, if not my favorite. And really, it's because of the depth that it gives Scarlemagne, as well as the potential for redemption. Because throughout this entire series, Season 1 and 2, Scarlemagne has kind of been the main bad guy. He's been the overarching antagonist to kind of just fuel everything. It's all centered around him and his actions and, well, defeating him. So, to get more and more information as time goes on that he was, raised by Kipo's parents is already pretty investing. But to then get this episode where it not only goes in depth on that, but explains exactly why he became bad, and makes you not only understand that reasoning, but sympathize with it. I mean, as the title says, sympathy for the mandrill. It's just really good writing. It's really good character work. It makes us care for who up to this point has been the main villain of this series. It's like you see a lot of times in media, in various shows or comics or games or whatnot, a lot of times you'll see villains who are just really bad. Like, even if they have some kind of sad backstory, it doesn't make you sympathize with them. It just makes you understand them. You see them for what made them into who they are, but you don't necessarily side with them. A great example of this would be the 2019 Joker movie, where it's like you see where he came from, you see what turned him into a villain, but that didn't make you sympathize with him or his actions. His actions, his ideas at the end and everything, and all of that was still unquestionably evil. And the things he did were still bad. And you could say the same thing here about Scarlemagne. Yes, the things he is doing are still bad, but it's to a level where you can still see him being redeemed. That's not the same as with the Joker. And when you compare it, it's like the things aren't even nowhere. They're nowhere near equatable. Let's be honest. But that's the thing with Scarlemagne. Even though he's doing these really bad actions, with the backstory you get and everything, it's like you understand it completely, and you do feel sorry for him because of how it's written, because of how the character has been portrayed up to now. You start to understand everything. You start to connect the dots, and everything fits. And in this episode, you start to realize that Scarlemagne is probably going to become Hugo again. He's probably going to be redeemed. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. Obviously, something to do with Kipo, because Kipo kind of does that. She kind of makes friends wherever she goes. So, but I think it's pretty clear now that the true main antagonist, the true bad guy of this series, is Dr. Amelia. Like, it was obvious she was a bad guy. And I was talking about in previous reactions and all that she was probably just kind of the opposite but equal of Scarlemagne. Like, while Scarlemagne's a mute supremacist, she was a human supremacist. That was proven true. And I was thinking she was more of like just another villain that would end up becoming just more evil and would end up just being a bigger problem than even Scarlemagne. But it seems more like, in fact, it's not even seems more like, it is, from the info we've gotten, that she's actually the one who's truly behind everything. Well, yes, it was Leo, mostly Leo, not really Song as much, but Leo's actions that turned Scarlemagne into what he is, or lack of action, you could almost say. It was his actions and all were also based completely on the actions of Dr. Amelia. So in the end, she's the one who's kind of been the overarching antagonist of the entire series. Everything's been because of her. And so it's like, I almost kind of want to know what caused her to be like she is. Like, why was she clearly so hell-bent on turning mutes back into normal animals? Maybe we'll find out, but right now, that's clearly how it's going down. Dr. Amelia is the main antagonist, and Scarlemagne is probably going to be redeemed. Don't know if it's going to happen by the end of the season, but I'm definitely thinking that's how it's going to go for next season for sure. That Dr. Amelia is going to be the final main antagonist, and that's going to be a fight to take care of her, to stop her. We'll have to see, though. I will say for certain that I am very interested now, like more so than ever. Just getting to hear his backstory here and you get to see like his developments and everything was fantastic. Got to see how he started to learn and how long it took, and just so many different interesting points. We even saw what happened when he first came up to the surface after Song broke out and everything went to shit, basically. So we got to see how he gathered his armies, how he became Scarlemagne, all of that. It's just some really interesting development. And it's like I think the moment that sealed it for me in this episode that he would get redeemed at some point. I think the moment that seals it for me is when Kipo hugs him and says you need that, and says you need it, and you see his response on his face. It's very clear that he did appreciate that, even if he's not going to say it. He did, and it's very clear that that is proof of him being redeemed at some point. So what's going to happen now, though? Because Amelia and them, the resistance, are planning to invade and everything. Kipo's friends are already getting involved. So it's like, what is going to happen? But let's talk about that B plot in this, I guess. So Dave and them, Dave, Benson, Wolf, they're all trying to make their way to find Kipo and everything. And Dave accidentally swallows, while they're hiding, the nectar, the explosive nectar. And there's this little thing about, oh, like, will he explode, will he not? It's like, this is weird. Like, well, what is the point of this B plot? It just doesn't seem that interesting. It's like just this goofy little moment with, like, Dave, like, under the, well, all of them under the anticipation of Dave possibly exploding if he takes the wrong step. And it's like, they're not going to kill off Dave. There's no tension here. And it's like, at the end, he just ends up shedding his skin. And it's like, the nectar's fine because of that. And it's like, no one actually thought he was going to die watching this, right? Like, the viewers, I mean. No one actually thought that there was any tension here, right? Because there wasn't. It was so blatantly boring, honestly. Like, what they're doing, like going to find Kipo and everything, that's fine, but it's like just the entire thing. It's like they could have done much more interesting stuff than have this subplot about Dave, will he not blow up. It's like, that's boring because there's no tension, because we know he won't. We know he'll be fine. So what is the point of this? It doesn't add anything to the episode either. Because there's two other sections to the episode. The flashbacks on how Hugo became Scarlemagne, and the current day stuff with Kipo talking to Scarlemagne, and with Leo there as well and all. And again, the subplot with Benson, Wolf, and Dave just doesn't add anything. It is pointless. It's not even funny. Like if it was at least funny, then I could at least see, like, oh, they're trying to lower some of the tension from the other parts. They're trying to just have a little fun to kind of just make it so that the other parts that are already pretty heavy aren't too heavy for the viewers. But it doesn't come across as funny either. It doesn't come across as entertaining pretty much at all. And so it just, it ends up just feeling very out of place. And it just feels like it doesn't work. To me, at least. If you enjoyed it, that's fine. I'm just speaking from my own experience. It just wasn't needed. It just wasn't needed in the end. If this episode had just focused entirely on the other two parts, I feel like it would have been better. But that's just my opinion. Tell me down in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Kipo and the Age of the Wonderbeasts? and again, even despite my issue with that subplot, it's like this is still one of, if not my favorite episode of the show for the rest of it. The stuff with Scarlemagne was just so expertly done, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. So little, I guess you could say, announcement. Next week, I will be finishing off the series with both episodes 9 and 10 in the same reaction. I just feel like I want to do the finale kind of together. I don't know if it's actually a two-parter, but it just feels right to do it that way. So we're going to do the final 2 episodes together in one video, one reaction, and that will be, same day next week. And then we'll eventually get to season 3 at some point in the future. Obviously, we're going to not go straight into it. We're going to take a break, but we will get to it at some point in the future. But yeah. I am definitely still pretty excited to see how this season ends next week, and I'm excited to see season 3 when we eventually get to it. But like I said, tell me your thoughts on this episode down in the comments below, and thank you all so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.